Yo, this is a motherfucker who needs no introduction. You are watching Breaking Records Radio.
You are now tuned in to Breaking Records Radio. My name is Alex Kuchma, and I have here with me one of the hottest rappers out of Canada to date, from public feuds with YouTubers like KSI to releasing hit after hit after hit after hit. Please welcome to the show, DAX. What's good, my man?
What's up, man? It's your boy Dax, and we back at it like a bad habit. If you want something better, go grab it. And today, baby, we finna make a big play. Happy to be here, man.
Man, I'm happy to have you on. I said this at the beginning of the call here, but I can't thank you enough for taking the time up to speak to me here today. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Hell yeah.
So you're originally born in Newfoundland, but early on you end up moving to Ottawa. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was born in Newfoundland, 1994. I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but probably moved to Ottawa when I was like 1 or 2 or 3, something like that. I got to ask my mom.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I ended up moving to Ottawa and then grew up there till I was about 18.
What part of Ottawa did you end up residing in?
So I live downtown. I don't know for anyone who's here who is listening that's from Ottawa. I used to live Brittany Drive, apartment 201, which is like St. Laurent area-ish.
Yeah, I know you started rhyming a little bit later, but growing up in Ottawa, I assume you were a hip hop fan at the very least, right? Like what introduced you to hip hop culture growing up originally?
Oh yeah, no, me personally, I was never a hip hop fan growing up. I don't even remember. I was only listening to what was on the radio.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I was a basketball fan. I grew up my whole life playing basketball. Started playing basketball like 4th-ish grade because I went to a school called St. Bridget. That was around where I lived. But they actually had no basketball hoop there. So I was just one of those guys that was like playing every single sport, like cross country. We used to race at lunch and all that stuff like that. But then after 3rd grade, I moved over to Orleans. And they had a basketball hoop at St. Clair Elementary School. And I started playing like bump at recess with guys. And yeah, then the love for basketball came in. And when I was 7th grade, I made the decision that I wanted to be a professional basketball player. I committed my life to basketball called the law of action.
In terms of hip hop,
it's hip hop. So in terms of hip hop, like music was just, I wouldn't even say hip hop. Music was just a background to when I was working out. But I didn't even get an iPod until I was maybe like, I didn't get an iPod or a cell phone until I was like 11th grade.
Gotcha.
So like if it was on the radio, I was listening to it. If it wasn't, I didn't know it existed.
Okay. So you end up going to the States for sports. So to play basketball on a semi-professional level. Do you currently reside in the States as of now, or are you back home in Ottawa or Toronto? Where are you at?
I'm back and forth, man. I spend a lot of time in Canada. I'll spend a lot of time in America. If I'm in America, I might be in like Kansas or Montana or Wyoming or Los Angeles. Those are the places, besides Los Angeles, the places where I played college basketball.
Gotcha. And I know your music career has kind of taken off as of now, but do you consider yourself a Canadian hip-hop artist then, or at least part of the Canadian hip-hop community, or more of a YouTube rapper? Like where do you I guess identify as?
I consider myself an artist. I'm from Canada, so if someone wants to call me a Canadian artist, I'm totally fine with that because I'm Canadian.
Sure.
In terms of all the YouTube rappers and stuff like that, I just call myself an artist, man.
Gotcha. Eventually, you end up getting wrapped up in the poetry scene. Which poetry events and whatnot did you end up frequenting?
So what happened was, just to sort of give like a timeline to the story, I never actually ended up playing semi-pro basketball. It was all college basketball. So I left Ottawa when I was 18 and I played for Sunrise Christian Academy. How I got there's a whole story in itself. Met a man at a bus stop. Dude brought a fake school into Ottawa. It's my guy. He got me a call with Kyle Lindstedt, who coached at Sunrise Christian Academy. So I'm 18. I leave. I go to Wichita, Kansas to play for Sunrise Christian Academy. Buddy Hield went there. He currently plays in the NBA. So I played the year after him. I go from there to a junior college in Casper, Wyoming at Casper College, Coach Dan Russell. Then I go from there to a Division I school, University of Montana in Missoula, Montana. That didn't work out. Then I transferred down to D2 back to a school in Wichita, Kansas called Newman University. When I got to Newman University, just things were different. I ended up getting an overnight job as a janitor on campus. while I was a junior, and they put me in the Dame Matias Hall, which was like the arts department. So I would like clean up after our own basketball games and like go to the other side, clean up the art department. So I'm guessing like being around all the art stuff and the events probably like opened my mind up more to poetry. So that on the way to a game, my junior year at Newman University to play Arkansas Fort Smith, I wrote my first poem. And after I wrote the poem, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And then I got off the bus, I showed the poem to my then roommate, Travis Matthews. Shout out to my boy Travis, he's about to have a baby. And a guy named Aaron. And they were like, wow, they couldn't believe I wrote that shit. So then I just kept writing poetry for the next like 6 to 8 months, which would eventually transition into music. And then by my senior year, I was like dropping, poetry things, but also a lot of music, different remixes, different singles. Then I ended up doing 1 extra semester to graduate. And then I went to Cali.
That kind of early endeavor in terms of writing poetry, and when you start going on stage for the first time, are you kind of in the slam poetry kind of scene, or what kind of realm of poetry? Because I know there's different, I guess, like subgenres, right?
Yeah. So eventually, when I wrote that first poem on the bus, I thought that I had coined the term spoken word poetry. I was like, what is this called? Like, what am I doing right now? Because I initially tried to write a rap. When I saw the content of what I was rapping, I was like, no, this is trash. This is my personality. I can't even rap about shit like this. So I wrote a poem. I was like, okay, this is spoken word poetry. Then I Google it, find out I'm not the first person. I was like, okay, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna keep writing it anyways.
Yeah.
So it was I forgot the question. I've been doing this a lot lately. What was the question?
Yeah, so I guess what subgenre, if we're gonna put a label on anything in terms of some of the early poetry, would you consider yourself like a slam poet then, or?
I remember following things like button poetry. I just called it spoken word poetry.
Fair.
So yeah, I remember the first people I performed for were actually my teammates. And then I went to like an open mic that was in Wichita, Kansas. And I was just trying to find whatever there was in Wichita, Kansas to do. And I was also doing motivational speaking because a lot of my like poems were actually motivational.
Sure.
So I was going to like schools, like I went to like Cape and Mount Carmel, I think, which is a school in Wichita, Kansas. My coach, who also does public speaking now, Coach Mark Potter, he took me to the school to talk to the athletes. So it was basically just like motivational speaking and spoken word.